Irving Brokaw became America's first Olympic figure skater, competing in the 1908 Summer Olympics in London. However, he wasn't just an athlete, he was heir to one of the greatest fortunes America has ever known. From a gothic townhouse along Manhattan's Fifth Avenue to a proper Long Island estate, he flaunted his wealth about as gleefully as his swizzles, dips, and flying spins. Hi everyone, Ken here. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. In 1871, Irving Brokaw was born in New York City, practically with a silver spoon in his mouth. He was the son of Isaac Vail Brokaw, a self-made millionaire who co-founded the successful Brokaw Brothers clothing emporium in the mid-1800s. By the late 19th century, the elder Brokaw's clothing business had made him one of the wealthiest men in the city. Irving grew up ensconced in privilege, living in the family's opulent mansion at Fifth Avenue and East 79th Street, a grand French Renaissance mansion built by his father in 1891. And the spoiling didn't stop there either. In 1905, Irving's father built a lavish set of gothic townhouses right next door to the family mansion for both Irving and his brother to live in. Few young men can say their dad gifted them a 30-room granite mansion on Fifth Avenue, but such was life for Irving Brokaw. Despite, or perhaps because of his Gilded Age comfort, Irving was an ambitious and talented individual. He attended Princeton University as a young man, where he proved his athleticism by running track. After college, he went on to earn a law degree from New York Law School in 1897 and was admitted to the bar. However, practicing law was not to be his calling. He never actually made a career of it, having ample family wealth to live on and other passions to pursue. Instead, Brokaw immersed himself in the sport of figure skating, an area where he would have a lasting legacy. Irving Brokaw became America's first Olympic figure skater, competing in the 1908 Summer Olympics in London. This accomplishment made him the very first American ever to compete in what we now consider a Winter Olympic sport. He wasn't just an Olympian in name, Brokaw was also a champion on home ice. He won US figure skating titles in the early 1900s, including the National Championship in 1906, and helped introduce the United States to a new modern style of figure skating. In fact, he is credited with bringing the international style of figure skating to America, a more artistic and fluid technique that was popular in Europe. To spread his love for the sport, he even authored a book titled The Art of Skating in 1915, sharing techniques and enthusiasm with a growing audience. Years later, the skating community honored Brokaw by naming him an honorary president of the US Figure Skating Association, recognizing his contributions to the sport's development. But skating was only one facet of Irving Brokaw's varied life. He was also an artist, and not just in the poetic sense. Brokaw became known for his watercolor paintings and was active in art circles. He was a member of the Salons of America Art Society and the Huguenot Society. His artwork earned enough esteem that one of his paintings, Skating Girl, was exhibited in the prestigious Luxembourg Museum in Paris. Of course, Irving Brokaw was also a prominent figure in New York high society. How could he not be given his pedigree? He married Lucille Nave in 1900, and the couple became fixtures on the social scene. By the early 1920s, Irving and Lucille were looking to establish a grand retreat away from the city, just as many of their high society peers had done. In 1926, the couple completed Frostmill Lodge, their dream estate in Millneck on Long Island's North Shore. To design it, they commissioned the prominent architectural firm of Walker and Gillette, known for creating stylish residences for America's elite. Walker and Gillette delivered a mansion that was grand yet uniquely chic for a country house. The architectural style of Frostmill Lodge can only be described as Georgian revival with a Regency twist, a sophisticated folly that nevertheless proved a perfect, elegant hideaway on Long Island's Gold Coast. Frostmill Lodge sat on an expansive parcel of land, approximately 35 acres of gentle hills, woods, and water. One of the estate's most striking natural features was Lower Francis Pond, a sparkling freshwater pond that became part of the Brokaw property. This pond was more than just a pretty view, it doubled as a private ice rink during the winters. The grounds also included several outbuildings, perhaps the most visually captivating being the greenhouse and the garage. As for the mansion itself, Frostmill Lodge was nothing short of luxurious. The main house was a large, multi-story structure with dozens of rooms, reflective of Walker and Gillette's trademark for designing country estates with 20, 30, or even more rooms to accommodate every possible need. Stepping inside, we passed through the front doors to arrive in the entrance hall, where a curving staircase sweeps away just off to the side. Next to it is a large archway centered on a fireplace. Let's continue through to see where this leads. After walking through the corridor, we find ourselves in the dining room, which always showcased the latest styles of the day. Now, had we continued straight across from the front door, we would have found ourselves entering the library and facing a massive bay window. This cozy room was wrapped with built-in bookshelves, and we can easily imagine the couple sitting down by the fire reading into the evening. Finally, we'll find the archway on the left-hand side of the entrance hall and proceed forward. This brings us to the largest room in the house, the living room, with windows on 3 sides offering panoramic views of the gardens. Life, however, is not a static black and white picture, and as the 1930s wore on, changes came for Irving Brokaw and his family. Irving's beloved wife Lucille passed away in 1937, which was a heavy blow after nearly 4 decades of marriage. Ever the social sophisticate, Irving Brokaw continued to travel and spend time among elite circles. Like many wealthy New Yorkers of his generation, he often escaped the cold Northeast winters by heading to Florida, specifically to the sunny climes of Palm Beach, passing away there on one such trip in 1939. With Irving gone, the fate of his estate and legacy passed to the next generation. Brokaw's will and estate arrangements provided for his children, but none of them were in a position to occupy Frostmill Lodge as a principal home. They all had their own households by then. The grand estate that once rang with the laughter of Brokaw family gatherings and society parties now stood at a crossroads. The late 1930s and early 1940s were a tumultuous time. With the Great Depression and World War II, maintaining huge estates became increasingly difficult even for wealthy owners. By the mid-1940s, Frostmill Lodge was being promoted in real estate brochures as the family searched for a buyer. The property changed hands and was subdivided into smaller parcels. Meanwhile, both Irving's childhood home and the duplex on Fifth Avenue were demolished. Remarkably, the mansion on Long Island is still standing today, having survived where many other Gold Coast mansions were demolished. After the subdivision of the estate, the main house was retained on a smaller parcel of land. It passed into private ownership and remains a private residence, hidden behind gates and foliage in Millneck. The house thus lives on as an architectural treasure known to preservationists and history buffs, but otherwise secluded from view. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. What did you think about Frostmill Lodge? Let me know down below in the comments section. My goal for this year is to reach 1 million subscribers. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's reach this goal together. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time on This House.